In this episode of Swamp Boys Garage, we're going to be finishing up the Kia Forte. We're going to be trying to figure out the P0017 check engine light code. We're going to do a full tune-up and an oil change. And all the parts and tools we use in this video will be listed in the description below. So let's get started.
If you remember from the last video, we bought this Kia Forte from Copart and it said it had undercarriage damage. We couldn't find any damage under the car, but when we got the title it said water damage on it. So the only issue that we can find with the car is, like Tyler says, the P0017 code. And I used this blue driver, this Bluetooth code scanner. That's the best one I found. So this code means that the timing from the exhaust camshaft and the crankshaft is a little bit off. It seems to be a common problem with these cars. There can be a faulty camshaft position sensor, a faulty crankshaft position sensor, low oil, a bad oil solenoid actuator, which is back here, or the camshaft sprocket kind of slipped on the camshaft.
Alright, so let's get started with the spark plugs and coil packs first, and then we can change the oil solenoid and see if that fixes the issue or see if we have bigger problems. So normally you want to change one coil pack at a time so you don't mix up the wires, but I have everything labeled with the Sharpie and we need them all out because we're going to do a compression test and look at the cylinder walls with our Bore Scope camera. Alright, so to remove the wiring harness, all you have to do is pull up on here, pull up and then pull out, and you never want to pull in the wire, and then you just want to do the same for all four of them. So now you're going to remove these 10mm bolts to get the coil packs off.
Alright, I know it wasn't really necessary to label these because we're throwing them out, but it kind of helps with the troubleshooting. Like when I put my bore scope down and I find an issue, then I can go back to that exact one and see if I have an issue with this coil pack too. Alright, so now we can take the spark plugs out. So to get the spark plugs out, when they down like this, you're going to need a 5/8 socket. I don't know if you can see it. It has a rubber grommet, and that holds the actual plug into the socket as you pull it out. And these are really cheap. Tyler's going to start taking those out. We're going to get all four of them out. Then we're going to put our bore scope from Vevor. We're going to look down in the actual cylinder, make sure we don't have any scarring. Because it did say water damage, but I think the only water damage was the carpet. I don't think any water got to the engine. And we're going to do a compression test. And you want all your spark plugs out when you do a compression test. We just want to double check everything with this car. We want to keep them in order too, that way we can help troubleshoot a little better. Alright, see how the spark plug stayed in it and it won't fall out? That's why you need a socket with a grommet in it. And this one looks pretty good. So let's put this with number 1 coil pack. Keep everything in order. That way we can look at them. Alright, so this is our Vevor Bore Scope camera. You could use this for a ton of things. Look how nice that picture is. Color picture. It records, it takes pictures, saves videos. So we're just going to run this down into the cylinder. Check for any scarring. Actually looks good. We'll do that for all four of them. Make sure we don't have any issues. This one's at the top. We'll have to spin the engine over. Go to the next one. Alright, now we're going to do a compression test. You just figure out what fit matches up with your spark plug threads. And before you do a compression test, you need to remove the fuel pump relay. And I'm gonna go ahead and remove the little fuse as well, because you don't want gas being pumped into the cylinder while you're trying to do a compression test. And the only reason we're doing this is because the title said water damage, and I just want to make sure that we don't have any kind of bent valve, and that's what's causing our P0017 code. Alright, now Tyler can go crank the engine over, and then we're going to read each cylinder. Just crank it for maybe 3 or 4 seconds. 168 is perfect, and I'm gonna just move it to each one of them, then we're gonna just keep repeating that. Alright, we just checked the compression on all 4 cylinders. They were all good, up to 190 psi. And the only reason we did this, because it's a flood car, and we did buy a Camry flood car one time, and water got into the engine and it bent a valve. So with this, being that our P0017 is on the exhaust side, I thought maybe the exhaust valve, one of them might have got bent if we had water in there, so I just wanted to double check it. So let's get our spark plugs and coil packs in. I'll put the relay and the fuse back in, and then we can work on some other stuff. Alright, we went with the Champion Iridium spark plugs, and they come preset at 0.40, but the Kia Forte says it needs to be 0.044. So we just set those. We got them all set now at 0.044. I don't think that makes a big difference. So we're going to put these in. You always want to go hand tight first. You don't want to cross thread it. I don't know what the exact torque spec is for these. And it's probably aluminum head, so you don't want to go over tighten it too much.
So we went with Papa Fart's coil packs. Number 1, it had some good reviews on Amazon, and number 2, how could you pass up a name like that? So we're gonna put these in. The spark plugs are all already in, and then we're just gonna hook up the wires, and then they should be good to go.
You can just get them all in place, and then we'll go back and put the bolts in.
Alright.
And the car has about 90,000, 89,000 miles, I think. And you probably don't have to do this until a car gets about 100,000. But being the car was neglected so bad, we're gonna just go ahead and do all this now. Just start it out by hand. You always want to make sure your threads are lined up before you use a ratchet.
We just got the spark plugs and coil packs changed. The car idles really well. And if you want to do this job to your car, go check Papa Farts out. We have it linked in our description. The Amazon reviews are really good. Now we're going to change our oil solenoid. All it has is 1 bolt and 1 wire connector. So hopefully this fixes our check engine light. Alright, so here it is right back here. All you do is take this wire connector off, and then there's a bolt right there. It's a really easy job and very simple. Alright, so now the solenoid should slide right out.
Pull it straight. See if it's going to come straight out. And that's part of what the variable timing is. Is it clean? Sometimes they get dirty, and that's what causes it. So it's not dirty. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is going to be what our issue is. The sensor for the camshaft is right here. This is the intake, and that's the exhaust. So, hate to just keep throwing parts at it, but everything I read, this is like the #1 issue. So we're gonna do this first, and that was fairly cheap. So slide it in, don't get it dirty. It'd be nice if that's what fixes it. I'd hate to pull the valve cover off and then try to change the sprocket on that exhaust cam. That'd be a pretty big job. You getting it? Don't go too tight. I'll plug the wire back in. Alright. Now I want to change the PCV valve. These cars, they burn oil pretty bad, and a lot of times it's your PCV valve, which is basically just a check valve, and if it gets clogged and sticks open, it's supposed to just let exhaust gas come through, but if it sticks open, then oil will come through and then you'll burn oil. So let's change that. It's a real easy job. Alright, so the PCV valve right here, and that's what the exhaust valve, this little hose comes back to the air intake, and it's real easy to change. See if I can get this socket on it. It's kind of dirty. It's just a little check ball valve in there. Basically keeps the oil from going back to the intake. And it's supposed to only allow exhaust gases, not the oil. And that's that. Alright, let's change the air filter. I don't know how bad this is going to be. I haven't even looked at it yet. No, it's not too bad. Yeah, it is kind of bad. It's actually, let's vacuum down in here. It's a lot of sandy stuff. Let's vacuum that out, and then we'll put the new one in. Alright, got it all good and cleaned up. I'd hate to put a new filter in it with all that dirt and sand in there. That's probably never been cleaned out. Now we can get the ramps, drive it on the ramps, and then change the oil. And I'm going to add this oil treatment too. So let's knock this out, and then we'll go test it and see if it cleared our check engine light. Alright, so we got the oil drain, and I think I might have found where the undercarriage damage is. So here's the drain plug. See the white stuff? On the oil pan is a good bit of this white cement looking stuff. So I don't know if they hit something and it knocked a little pinhole in the oil pan, so they put this white stuff. But I've been driving the car a few thousand miles and it hasn't leaked, so I'm gonna see if you can see it from underneath. I don't know if it's gonna focus or if it's enough light, but that has to be what they're talking about, undercarriage damage. It's not leaking any oil. Alright, we got the filter on it changed. I'm gonna put, it takes 4.2 quarts. I'm gonna go with 4 quarts of this and then put some of that STP treatment. And I had a time getting the filter off of this car. They had it so tight. And actually it's an original Hyundai filter, so I don't know if they take it for normal oil changes at the dealer or if that's the original oil filter for the car. So who knows. That is, let's go with that for now. Put some of this. It's like a thick honey. Put about 3/4 of the bottle. Alright, we're going to let the car run for a bit, and then we're going to check the oil, go for a little test drive. We're going to put the blue driver in the USB port, scan it for codes, see if we have to clear that code out. We'll let the oil kind of heat up a little bit. Alright, you can drive it off of the ramp. Alright, park. Yeah, we'll on some level ground, that way we can check the oil. Alright, you can turn it off. Check the oil and we'll put this cover back on it. Alright, let's check it right quick. Need a little more. It's a little less than halfway. You know, from this point to that point is 1 quart of oil. So that way you know if it's on right here, 1 more quart will get you to right here. So let's put a little more in it. Alright, we got the oil level just right, so we're going to put this back on. Close the hood. We'll plug this blue driver in. We'll go for a little quick spin. And that just pairs with my phone on the app. And we can clear out any codes. Alright, we still have a check engine light. So I have my app out. I'm doing clear all codes because that was a permanent code. So we need to clear it. And then we'll see if it comes back. So we're going to ride around for a little bit until this finishes clearing and see if we have any success. Alright, all the codes are cleared. Permanent codes. Check engine lights cleared. No more codes. So I'm not 100% sure that fixed it. We may have to drive it a few hundred miles to see if it comes back. But the car drives great. It sounds good. Idle's perfect. So it leads me to believe we don't have a timing issue, that it was just that solenoid like a lot of people have. So hopefully that fixed it.
Alright guys, so that's going to be the end of this video. We got everything accomplished that we wanted to. We got the spark plugs, coil packs, we did an oil change, everything done. We're very glad. And all the products, tools, everything will be linked in the description below. So make sure you go check that out. And also go check out our Instagram. We just won us a new build. So if you want to go see what that is, make sure you go check it out. And that's going to be the end of this video, and we'll see you in the next one.